Marietta College. $1,200 of your closest friends across 100 acres. This is home.
Coming up today on WCMO NewsCenter 15, lawmakers will elect Peru's next president after the latest ouster.
And suicide bomber and gunman kill 11 soldiers and a child in northwestern Pakistan.
Stay with us. The stories and more coming up on WCMO NewsCenter 15. Hello and welcome to today's edition of WCMO NewsCenter 15. I'm Brendan Thompson.
And I'm Kara Gillette, topping our news today.
Crews found the bodies of 8 backcountry skiers and are searching for one more who remains missing after an avalanche in the mountains near Lake Tahoe. Authorities said Wednesday, making it the deadliest U.S. avalanche in nearly half a century. Authorities have told the families that the mission has moved from rescuing people to recovering bodies, Nevada County Sheriff Shannon Moon said during a news conference. 6 others from the same group of skiers were rescued Tuesday. They were on a guided 3-day trek in Northern California's Sierra Nevada as a monster winter storm pummeled the west coast.
An explosion at a fireworks shop in China's Hubei province on Wednesday killed 12 people, state media reported. The second such explosion as the country celebrates the Lunar New Year. Emergency responders put out the blaze at the fireworks shop in the town of Shenyang in central Hubei province on Wednesday afternoon, according to the official Xinhua news agency. Investigators are now looking into the cause of the explosion, the report said without giving further details. Fireworks are a large part of the Lunar New Year celebration in China, but their use has also been the cause of multiple accidents.
I wonder what the weather looks like. Landon is here with current conditions. What's going on outside right now, Landon?
Well, Brandon, we've had a bit of a rainfall a few hours ago, and it just recently started up again. Because of that rainfall, the temperatures are rather cool outside. It feels like 46 outside with an expected high of 49. The UV index is at a low level of 1. The air quality is at an excellent level of 9. And as a result of the rain mostly, we have a low pollen count. The winds will be running around the south-southwest at about roughly 7 miles per hour today. Again, that as a result of the rain. The humidity is roughly 100%. The sun rose about 9 before 8 this morning and should be setting about 3 before 6:30 this evening. Now, this past week, the temperatures have drastically warmed up since we spent a good chunk of the first month of the year covered in ice and snow. And that warmness will continue as we get to the beginning of the weekend. But once it begins, we're in for a drastic temperature drop. How drastic are we talking about? I'll give you the details on that when we return later on in the program for the 5-day forecast. But until then, back to you guys at the desk.
Peru's Congress on Wednesday will choose the country's 8th president in a decade to replace President Jose Hiri with 4 lawmakers who are largely unknown to the public. Vying for the position, the candidate who secures the most votes will lead the nation as interim president until July 28th, when they will transfer power to the winner of a general election scheduled for April 12th. The revolving door presidency in Peru reflects a political crisis fueled by a lack of legislative majorities for leaders. Lawmakers have frequently used a broad interpretation of a constitutional article regarding permanent moral incapacity to remove sitting presidents.
A suicide bomber backed by a group of gunmen rammed an explosive-laden vehicle into the wall of a security post after troops signaled for it to stop in a former Pakistani Taliban stronghold in northwestern Pakistan, causing part of the compound to collapse and killing 11 soldiers and a child. The military and police said Tuesday. The military said in a statement that the attackers overnight had sought to breach the checkpoint but were thwarted by security forces. It said troops later pursued and killed 12 Khawarij, term authorities used for the Pakistani Taliban or TTP.
Coming up, Delta Airlines had to land prematurely due to disruptive passenger.
And a big step forward for female reporters in sports news. All this and more after the break.
At Marietta College, teamwork goes beyond athletics. At Marietta, we promote individuality, creativity, and resilience. Whoever you are, wherever you're from, we are Pio Nation. This is the time, this is the place. We are pioneers. We are Marietta College.
Oh, it's gonna be great.
I think it goes around.
Let's go. We gotta get you in practice.
And it's set!
The Colorectal Cancer Alliance wants you to know a lot of things in life are preventable. Colon cancer is common and deadly, but that's also preventable. The Alliance is doing its part to end colorectal cancer. Now do yours. Get involved. And if you're 45 or older, talk to your doctor about the colon cancer screening options available to you. Go to colorectalcancer.org to learn more. Oh boy.
Yeah!
A shooting during a youth hockey game at Dennis M. Lynch Arena in Pawtucket left 3 people dead, including the shooter, and sent 3 others to the hospital in critical condition Monday night, according to police. Pawtucket Police Chief Tina Gonkov said the incident appears to have been targeted and may have stemmed from a family dispute. The shooter, identified as Robert Dorgan, also known as Roberta Esposito, died from an apparent self-inflicted gunshot wound after a bystander helped intervene. Investigators are reviewing video and interviewing witnesses after chaos erupted inside the arena, with players diving for cover and families fleeing. The tragedy comes weeks after a deadly shooting at Brown University, and Pawtucket Mayor Don Greben called the incident heartbreaking for a community just north of Providence.
There was once so many children enrolled at Moore Learning Preschool and Child Care Center in Elk Grove that families filed a wait list. Now, owner Frisia Moore says classrooms and a playground sit empty as dozens of families choose traditional kindergarten over her full-day program. Even though her school offers longer care, she can't compete with free public options, and she hasn't broken even in months, forcing her to consider closing and eliminating 91 licensed child care spots. The shift is part of Governor Gavin Newsom's signature push to expand universal preschool, a major piece of his education legacy aimed at supporting California's youngest children and working families.
A Delta Airlines flight returned to William P. Hobby Airport shortly after takeoff Wednesday morning, following reports of an unruly passenger on its way to Atlanta. Authorities said initial calls claimed a man tried to breach the cockpit, but Delta said that was not the case, adding the passenger displayed unruly and unlawful behavior toward others and was detained by police after landing. No injuries were reported, and the flight later departed again, arriving about 90 minutes late. The Federal Aviation Administration said it will investigate as officials continue to address a sharp rise in disruptive incidents nationwide.
Veteran columnist Christine Brennan remembers being mocked in the 1990s for insisting on covering women's sports. Now, as she covers her 22nd Olympics at the 2026 Milan Cortina Olympics, entry outlets dedicated to women's sports are thriving. Platforms like Together, Just Women's Sports, and The Gist are expanding rapidly, providing serious athlete-driven coverage, long overdue in mainstream media. Founder Haley Rosen built her platform to treat women athletes with the same intensity as men, while leaders like Sarah Spain say social media stars like Caitlin Clark and the Olympic moments have fueled a surge in demand. Though challenges remain, advocates call this a tipping point for an industry finally investigating in women's sports.
Coming up, DoorDash sees strong quarterly growth in sales and orders but warns of big costs.
And Warner Bros. Reopens takeover talks with the Paramount after receiving a waiver from Netflix.
We're certainly using a wide range of temperatures so far. I'll have the details on your 5-day forecast and see how cold we're going to get this weekend coming up after the break. Stay with us.
Mo. This Movember, the moustache is calling once more. Raise funds, save lives. Sign up at Movember.com.
There's a place for everyone at Marietta College. Our place is here as esports competitors. This is Marietta College Esports.
DoorDash said Wednesday its revenue rose 38% in the fourth quarter as it gained new U.S. customers and added new services like restaurant reservations. But investors may be more focused on the cost of new projects, including the development of autonomous delivery robots and test of drone delivery. DoorDash said it expects adjusted pre-tax earnings between $675 million and $775 million in the first quarter, which was lower than the $800.6 million Wall Street was expecting, according to analysts polled by FactSet. DoorDash's stock fell 3% in after-hours trading Wednesday.
Warner Bros. Discovery is briefly reopening takeover talks to Skydance own Paramount to hear the company's best and final offer, while the Hollywood giant continues to back the studio and streaming deal it struck with Netflix. In a Tuesday regulatory filing, Warner said it was received a waiver from Netflix to reopen talks with Paramount for the next 7 days, or until Monday. Warner said this will allow the companies to discuss unresolved deficiencies and clarify certain terms of Paramount's latest bid, but in the meantime, Warner's board is still recommending shareholders' support of its proposed merger with Netflix. A special meeting is now scheduled for Friday, March 20th, to hold a vote on that deal.
At the Winter Olympics, there is a cameraman who ice skates backwards to capture the best shots of the ice skaters. The camera mounts and glides across the Olympic rink as figure skating competitors warm up and later take their bows. Dressed in an ice-white tuxedo, he is as elegant as possible. The former U.S. competitive ice dancer is the first camera operator on figure skating ice in Olympic history, capturing intimate moments that the overhead or sideboard cameras cannot. While he isn't on the ice during the routines, he skates backwards after each program to record up close what is often a raw moment of pure joy or disappointment for broadcast globally to viewers at home and on big screens for the arena spectators. Let's move on to Hollywood now. There's some real excitement to see how Ryan Gosling saves the world.
And details on the documentary about a real-life battle over books.
Here's Joanna with the details on our Hollywood Minute.
Hi everyone. There's a lot of anticipation for the movie adaptation of Andy Weir's novel Project Hail Mary. Our sun is dying and Ryan Gosling plays a science teacher sent into space to discover why. His character also makes friends with an alien who is there to do the same thing. Project Hail Mary opens in theaters March 20th. Paul Thomas Anderson, whose character-driven films are recognized for their ambitious and engaging storytelling, appears to be in the driver's seat for the year's Oscar race in March. The Directors Guild of America recently awarded the One Battle After Another director its top prize. Anderson has gone on to win the Oscar for Best Director in each of the last 5 years. Finally, today, The Librarians looks at the battle over books with race-related and LGBTQIA+ content, and the consequences for education, free expression, and what it means to be a librarian. The Independent Lens documentary is available now on PBS and the PBS app. That's all I have from Hollywood for now. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Joanna.
I wonder what the temperatures will look like next week.
Well, Landon is here with the details. Landon, what can we expect from Mother Nature for the rest of this week?
Well, Brendan, as we get closer and closer to the weekend, we're already in the midst of a wet spell right now, but that's going to be continuing on as we get closer and closer to the weekend. And as you can see here, as we look at the lovely United States of America, certain parts of the country are still experiencing some wintry, snowy weather in Northern California, Nebraska, and the Canadian border area in the Great Lakes. Now, as we take a look at our regional map, you can see that, like I mentioned, a little bit before the newscast began, we were having some rain, and it's going to be picking up again a little bit a couple hours after the show's over for today. Right now, the worst of it has passed through our neighboring states of West Virginia and its neighboring state of Virginia. And as you can see, as we look at our regional area of the Mid-Ohio Valley, the worst of the rain has already passed through, and we'll have a little bit of the leftover coming in an hour or so. Now, as we take a look at the 5-day forecast, you can see how that'll affect our weekend. The temperatures are still going to be rather warm tomorrow on Friday with partly cloudy conditions and an expected high of 62. Then temperatures will start to drastically drop as we get into the thick of the weekend with partly cloudy conditions on Saturday and expected high of 46. And getting even colder for the churchgoers on Sunday as we see a return of the snow and an expected high of 35. And that will more or less be where the temperatures will remain as we begin the next work week on Monday with cloudy conditions at expected high of 34 before we get a slight pickup on Tuesday with partly cloudy conditions with expected high of 36. So yes, we've had a bit of a warm spell in the middle of February this past week, and that will continue for one more day before we get another bit of a cool down over this upcoming weekend, continuing on into the next work week. How much longer will that cold spell last? Well, we'll talk about that when we come back next week for your weather forecast. But as for this week, I'm Landon Santini. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thank you, Landon. When we come back, CJ will join us with an update from the world of sports.
See you in a few.
Let's do this! Yeah! There's something stirring up inside of me I never felt before. Doesn't it make you right now that I'm with you? Sparks are flying loose, fireworks go off in my brain.
We always support you at Girl Scouts.
When I look up the stars,
We're together, we can do big things.
everything's better with you.
Make it your year of friendship at Girl Scouts.
never chew tobacco.
I don't drink much.
Never smoked a cigarette in my life.
HPV. Isn't that about cervical cancer?
What does that have to do with oral cancer?
HPV? Didn't know that.
Thanks for staying with us. Joining us now for sports is CJ.
CJ, tell us all about it.
The Seattle Seahawks are going up for sale. The move comes less than 2 weeks after the franchise captured its second Super Bowl title with a win over the New England Patriots following the death of former owner Paul Allen in 2018. His estate announced plans to sell his sports holdings with proceeds benefiting philanthropic causes. Investment firms Allen & Company and Latham & Watkins will oversee the sale, which must be approved by NFL owners. The team remains under lease at Lumen Field through 2032 and is expected to stay in Seattle. Over to the UK, the Players' Championship is underway in England. The event features the top 16 players in the one-year world rankings. Australia's Neil Robertson enters as the top seed, but watch out for Judd Trump and Mark Selby. The winner takes home $150,000. Defending champion Kyron Wilson did not qualify for this year's tournament. Curling continues to surge in popularity at the Winter Olympics, not just on social media, but in sports books. It is one of the most bet events, second only to hockey. Thanks to long matches and frequent lead changes, Team USA fell to Great Britain in both men's and women's play yesterday. The men need help to reach the medal round, while the women must win their next matchup to advance. And lastly, college athletics are always in action. But yesterday, there was major news off the field. Just hours before the opening of the 2026 season, the Marietta baseball program announced that head coach Brian Brewer has resigned, effective immediately. The Pioneers are still set to begin their season this afternoon at the D3 Showcase in Greensboro, North Carolina, where they'll face the SUNY Cortland Red Dragons at 3 p.m. Assistant coach Bill Mosca has been named acting head coach. Leadership will travel with the team to North Carolina, and assistants Lincoln Hewitt and Matt Valen will continue recruiting efforts. The school says the head coach search begins immediately. That's all I have from the world of sports. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, CJ. And back at the desk with us is Landon for a last look at the forecast.
Well, to sum it up, we've been having a pretty warm week this week, and it'll continue for about one more day tomorrow. But thanks to the rain we've been having throughout today, the temperatures, when we get through the thick of the weekend, will cool down drastically to the lowest they've been for several weeks, to roughly 34 to 36, and that will continue on when we enter the next work week on Monday. So, yeah, you're in for, I hope you've enjoyed the warmth, because you're in for a bit of a cold weekend. Not necessarily a wet one, but a pretty cold one. So get your quilts and blankets and, bundle up if you got to go out. You guys got anything going on this weekend?
Nope.
Nope. Not really.
Pretty lame. Anyway, thanks, Landon.
You're
That's all
welcome.
for the time. That's all we have time for today. We hope you have a great week. From all of us here at WCMO NewsCenter 15, Marietta College Broadcasting. Thanks again for joining us.